All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Forget Perfect newsletter. I'm Vitale Buford Hardin, the CEO of Vitale and Company. So this month, we're going to do something different. I normally interview a leader and we talk about relevant leadership topics. But for this month, I wanted to cover the 6 trends that I am seeing in culture, workplace, just workplace trends. These are things that I've been working on with my clients, things I've been discussing with peers, trends that I'm reading and hearing about with other organizations. And I wanted to share them with you today because I want to make 2025 the year that counts, that we make culture change really, really important, leadership change. There are a lot of changes going on in corporate America right now, right? We got a lot of transition, a lot of unknowns, a lot of change. And I wanted to share the trends that I am seeing so that we can make sure we stay competitive, productive, engaging, that we retain our talent, that we create happy workplaces, workplaces with high trust. So let's go over these 6 trends. And I'll also give you some tips on some things you can do to make these trends happen in your workplace. All right. So the number one trend that I'm seeing is just the importance of trust, making it a priority. All the clients that I'm working with now, we are doing deep dives in trust. We are doing trust diagnostics. We're doing trust assessments. We are making trust a number one priority. So before we talk about making trust a priority, let's talk about the state of workplace trust. You all, trust is at an all-time low. 85% of organizations have cultures of low trust. According to Harvard Business Review, 58% of employees would trust a stranger over their own boss. You heard that correctly, would trust a stranger over their own boss. And then another important data point is 61% of employees believe that low trust is impacting their ability to get things done. So I love framing trust as something that is not a nice to have, it's a must have. And so in this day and age, let's make trust a number one priority for 2025. However, a lot of organizations have a hard time with trust. And it's because it is this kind of abstract topic. And it's hard to think about how do we make trust tangible. And so in order to make trust tangible, you all, you've got to make it a system in your workplace, right? James Clear, the author of Atomic Habits, says that we rise and fall to the level of our systems. And he's right. We fall and rise to the levels of our systems. And so if we don't have systems in place to systematize trust, make it a priority so that everyone is rowing in the same direction, everyone knows what trust means, how we make it a reality, then it's not going to happen. So ways to do that would be make trust a system. And we are doing that with a lot of organizations. We're creating their trust operating system, their trust values, the behaviors, the metrics. And so that can be a really powerful resource. Also, encourage leaders to take ownership of their own trustworthiness. There is trust, and then there is trustworthiness, right? There are pieces of trust that we as leaders need to own. And so, owning that trustworthiness piece. So, even just doing an audit of how am I showing up? Am I trustworthy? Getting feedback. And so, owning that trust. The second trend that I'm seeing, you all, or that I think needs to be a priority, are the importance of peer to peer relationships. Peer-to-peer relationships in organizations are mission critical, right? When peers have strong relationships, we're able to collaborate better, problem solve, and innovate, right? Fix problems that we didn't know we needed to solve. The one thing though with organizations is that we don't incentivize peer-to-peer relationships, right? We don't incentivize horizontal relationships, we incentivize vertical relationships. So we incentivize, the people that report to you, you're incentivized to have one-on-ones with them. You do their performance review. The person that you report to, they're in charge of your performance and your bonus structure. We're not in charge of those horizontal relationships. And so one of the things that I've been working on with many of my clients is creating a system for peers to meet. And so it's called the Peer 5x5. It's 5 questions in 5 minutes. And so peers are now meeting for 20 minutes. I know it's 5 minutes, 5 questions in 5 minutes. It's kind of fun, but it's really 20 minutes. And so they're actually requiring, as a trust building activity, peers to meet and do those 5 questions, for 20 minutes every single month. So if you are a VP and there are 6 other VPs, you're meeting with those VPs monthly for 20 minutes. Now, if you have, 13 peers, then you would split it up and do half of those peers one month, half of the peers the other month, and then continue to repeat. The beauty of this is if you ask the same five questions every month, people get used to it, you're building trust, and it's been really, really powerful. So that's a way to systematize peer-to-peer relationships as a trust building activity. And again, a lot of people are like, well, that's a lot of time, Vitali, but you are going to be able to solve so many issues that you didn't know were even there just by strengthening those peer-to-peer relationships and formalizing monthly meetings. The third trend I'm seeing is systematizing presence and listening, right? So being present, listening. There are so many things happening right now. Time is speeding up so quickly, especially with the use of AI, right? There is just, I mean, how is it already March, right? So many things are happening so quickly. And so we need to find a way to systematize presence and learning. And if you can't tell, one of the themes for all these trends, it's finding systems that make this work, right? We rise and fall to the level of our systems. We can't just say we want to make trust a priority or make peer-to-peer relations a priority. We have to create a system so that it lives and thrives and succeeds and actions. So systematizing presence and learning. So this is more of kind of an individual leadership trend, but as leaders, one of the things that I've been teaching is telling leaders to really identify every week the micro moments where they need to be present and identify the micro moments where they need to be listening. Right? We're not just going to say, "Oh, I want to be an active listener and be a better active listener." So identifying those spots where we need to be a better listener. So every Sunday I do my prioritizing for the week ahead and I think, what moments throughout my week this week do I need to be an active listener? One-on-ones with my team members, client meetings, one-on-ones with clients, team brainstorming meetings, any sort of co-creation with a client or new client intake. So identifying those moments where you need to be listening. In terms of presence, scheduling downtime within your work week, professional downtime, CEO time, leader time is so important to becoming better. The world is moving so fast. We never schedule downtime within our workday just to read a Harvard Business Review article or, listen to a podcast or brainstorm a new idea. Right? We don't have those moments in our day, and it's really important to becoming a better leader. So scheduling those deep presence blocks or downtime blocks, however you want to call it, is another way to action that. The fourth trend that I'm seeing is really focusing on energy management over time management. Right? When we think about energy management, right? Again, just to kind of play off number three, right? The world is moving fast. There are more responsibilities on us. There is more going on. And so it's really not about time management, right? When we don't have a lot of time in the day, it's not like, I hear a lot of people saying, oh, I need more time in my day to get things done. No, you need better boundaries. You need better energy management. So this is about just kind of rethinking your workload, rethinking your boundaries around your work availability, making sure you're managing your energy. Things like, time blocking, identifying the times of day where you're more productive. Like, so for me, it is, early morning, right? I'm very productive from like 7 to 11 a.m. So I try and put things that require a lot of my brain capacity in those time blocks. Also, task batching. So, we're constantly context switching throughout our day, right? We're switching from writing emails to looking at spreadsheets to drafting a proposal or drafting a brief or a program pitch. And all of those things require different pieces of our brain. So bask your tasks so that you're not context switching as much. The fifth trend that I'm seeing is the emphasis on agile learning and thinking. Adam Grant did a video last September in 2024, and he said that ability is no longer the number one focus for the workplace, right? Ability are your experience, your skills, your future potential. He said agility is now the number one skill set in the workplace. And agility is your ability to admit that you made a mistake. It's your ability to look outside your perspective, think of different ways of doing things, not sticking with the status quo, right? Doing things differently. So this agile learning mindset is so, so important. So just thinking about as leaders, how are we checking in on ourselves? So for me, I like to do an end of week audit on how agile was I? Did I get stuck in making a decision the way I normally make, or did I think outside my perspective? And when I bump up against something, just asking myself, like, what is this teaching me versus why is this happening for me? But thinking about, like, what are the systems we can put into place to really promote agility over ability? How can we normalize people making mistakes and getting things wrong and living and learning from those things? Which then leads me to number six. The number six trend is normalizing failure, right? That's part of creating an agile workplace, is normalizing failure. I do a lot of trainings around trust and psychological safety. And the things that I see organizations get hung up on when it comes to building trust and psychological safety is creating a culture where people can make mistakes, admit that they made a mistake, and also normalizing failure. So, thinking again, this whole theme of how we create a system, the Four Seasons hotel chain has a system where they actually have changed the vocabulary internally, culturally around failure. And no one is allowed to say the word mistake or failure within the Four Seasons hotel chain. They use the word glitch. They feel like it is just lighter. It's not as heavy as the word failure or mistake. And so they culturally coin the term, they use glitch. Another way that I've seen leaders do it is just opening up like monthly team meetings by saying, hey, let's all go around and talk about our most recent failure. Now, the first few meetings will probably be scarier than the rest. But again, just going around like, hey, let's all go around and talk about our most recent failure. It could be a personal failure. It could be, it could be a professional failure, but just going around and again, normalizing it, lightening failure. That, failure is actually an indicator of action. It's an indicator of success, that you can't have success without failure, without mistakes. It's part of actioning. So those are the six trends, right? Number one is making trust your number one priority. You all, this is the year, right? No longer can we ignore trust, create a system. Number two is peer-to-peer relationships and focusing on those. Number three is systematizing, presence and listening. The fourth is energy management is more important than time management. Number five is agile thinking and learning. And number six is normalizing failure. So one of the themes, again, throughout all six of these trends is creating systems where all six of these can thrive, right? It's a new age of the workforce. It's a new day, a lot of transition happening. And this is how we get ahead. This is how we create an engaging workforce. This is how we retain and attract better talent. This is how we become the competitive workplaces of 2025 and beyond. If you are ready to make trust a priority, you all, we are doing at Vitale and Company some really awesome, innovative stuff with trust. Send me an email, respond to this email, and just reach out, because trust is not a nice to have. It's a must to have. So thank you for tuning in to March for the Forget Perfect newsletter. Hope you enjoyed a different style. Instead of an interview, you got to hear some of the top six trends. Would love to hear if you like this style or if you prefer the interview better. But thank you again for tuning in, and have an amazing rest of your month.